Thank you so much for staying tuned on this morning on ITV Sunday's edition, the very last Sunday for the month of August. Now, it's just been about the cutoff point by JAMB after they said they had a stakeholders meeting to release their points to be 120 for admission into Nigerian universities and 100 into polytechnics and colleges of education. Remember, this is over 400, so it's like a 120 over 400 to gain admission into the university. And just last year, they scrapped post-UTME, you know, and now again, it's back again for admission again into universities. So what does this portend for? What's the implication of this to the standard of education in Nigeria, especially where we've been and how much we've been dragging to sail out of this? I have two gentlemen in the studio this morning. Engineer Anthony Ikogwe, Public Affairs Analyst, you're welcome to the program.
Thank you.
And I have Barrister Douglas Obankwa. You're welcome to the program this morning.
Thank you very much. You feel good morning, yes?
Okay, Barrister, let me stay with you. What's your thoughts on this recent development?
I would say that's like putting the Nigerian educational sector on reverse gear. It's quite unfortunate that those who run education in this country do not understand the issues, with all due respect to them. Because the problem of the Nigerian educational system is not actually whether or not the JAMB score is 200 or 120. However, bringing it down means that you are trying to tell the would-be students or of the different universities in Nigeria that they could actually lower down their preparation and they will still get into the universities. The whole thing is a sham. If you look at it watched it on the national TV, it was as if it was a Portuguese parliament. Those in favor say aye, those against say nay. Yes, you don't do things like that, for God's sake. You're talking about the life of the future leaders of this country. Education planning is a painstaking process that is gotten from empirical facts, and not for you to just assume that because there are some universities that do not have placement, then you now say you want to reduce the cutoff marks for federal universities to 120. That's despicable, to say the least. It's quite unfortunate.
Okay, Anthony, what's your thought?
Just like Barrister have said, it is quite very unfortunate today that in Nigeria, they don't know the value of education. Let me put it that way. Because if they know that education has a lot of role to play in nation building, they would have been toying with Nigerian educational system. If they reduce cutoff mark to 120 and 100, and this is over 400 mark, invariably we're talking about 26%.
And 30%.
And there is nowhere in the world today where you said 25% is even a cutoff mark. So I wonder what will make people in JAMB to say that and think that the best thing they could do to education system in Nigeria is to reduce the cutoff mark. Why even at the 180 they had before, the number of people they also have to admit is even more than even the university space. So I don't know the premise, what led into what did they try to achieve? To reduce the standard of education in Nigeria, even with what they had before. Today, Nigerian graduates, wherever they have in the world today, they don't classify them as people who have even passed through mainstream of education. So lowering the mark, the score, is like embarrassment to the Nigerian populace. Also, setting us back from the world educational ranking, which we are not even anywhere before now.
Okay, Barrister, like you followed that meeting, and some of the reasons they gave was that most times schools don't even exhaust the admission space at the end of the day, and even sometimes they want to regularize their program, because even when you give them 200 peradventure as cut-off mark, they still go and admit people who don't have up to that. And as a result, they just want to open the window for everyone to get admitted into the school, and then there won't be the issue of regularization and all that.
Well, I think that seems to be a failure of regulation. If you have a template in place and people are going through the back door, you as a regulator, you have failed, and so you to come to national TV to embarrass yourself. Just tender a resignation, for God's sake. The truth of the matter is that every year we have at least 1 million young people writing UME. And the positions or the number of courses available for them to be placed is about 100,000. So that argument is like turning logic on its head. So what happens to the remaining 900,000? And you say they don't exhaust. What happens all over the world is that if you have an admission process in place and someone chooses a course and there is any other space available, you would queue in that person, send an admission letter, and so that it takes it up. So that argument itself is just, it's red herring. It doesn't make any sense at all. And I really need to say this because I have practical knowledge of the education system, being a teacher myself of over 22 years standing. I want to say that the problem with Nigerian education system is not just about the cut-off mark. It's about the fact that even the education, like those in child education, do not understand what it means to educate a child. There are about 3 major components of education of a child. You have the cognitive, which talks about the knowledge base of the child. You have the affective, which is the emotional intelligence of the child. Then you have the psychomotor, which talks about the skills that the child has, extracurricular activities. And that will account for the fact that Nigeria does not do well in sports. Do you understand? Just look at an inter-house sports, for example, in any school in Nigeria. It's just like a, how do I put it, novelty run, you know. There is really nothing there to develop the child aside writing in class. And for God's sake, what I understand about education all over the world is that the world has moved from paper-based educational system. I was watching CNN in Malaysia, primary 6 pupils, they were solving mathematics with their iPad. The board was an electronic board. Do you understand? If you want to solve a particular problem, they send it to your iPad through FlashShare. You don't need to start writing one plot. This is just a shame, it's a sham. They should wake up, for God's sake. We are not living in the 19th century, this is the 21st century. In 2006, was it Chinwe Obadi or so, that brought about a system where we had to do $100 computers for primary school pupils. And these students were already beginning to learn the computers. So the plan was that in 10 years, all schools in Nigeria would have that basic computer for knowledge. Another minister came, Igwe Jaja Wanchukwu, and said, why would you bring computers when schools have not been built? He scrapped it. Now I have news for you. The computers, the provision of computers were scrapped, and the schools were not eventually built. So what we have in this country is that
writing computer-based tests.
You can imagine, I teach students for UME every year. I still do, and I can tell you that the biggest problem that they tell me that they have is they don't really understand the system. You're bringing about a computer-based test that you do not even allow the children to have a transition. There should be a transition process. People should elect how to do paper-based for now, computer-based, then they go and learn it. Students are probably taught computers in secondary school only on the board. Even I am standing here, I learned computers in Nigerian law school. And it was my desire, because my mates, they are still at loss as what's happening with, IT and all that. You want to teach introduction to computer, you bring and you draw the computer on the board. You draw the keyboard on the board. In this 21st century, what are you talking about? You will not even read the computer for them to see. You are saying diffusion, or that is also the movement of particles from a space of higher concentration to that of lower concentration. And you'll be drawing the movement on the board. You can't even bring the equipment for them to see the movement going up and down. Then how do you want that person to excel when it's made to excelling?
Okay. If that is the case, wouldn't you say that JAMB is kind of right? Because if the students at the point of writing these exams, because they were not grounded with computers, happened not to do well, it doesn't mean that they were not intelligent. Hence, you should let them step forward into the university. That way, you know, when they get there, they would really excel. That's justifying their reason, one of their reasons perhaps for reducing the cutoff mark.
No. You see, in Nigerian educational system, just like you did mention, a child is not supposed to go and learn how to use computer because the internet-based program was introduced to write JAMB. And these students, most of them have not even seen computer in their life for the first time. So how do you expect such students who don't know even about computer to come out and write internet-based tests? That's one. Then secondly, if we remember how JAMB come in place, before the introduction of JAMB, schools make admission directly. And now we have seen cases where one person gets admission in about 2 or 3 school, universities. So in order to harness this, they now introduce JAMB, so that every student that going to higher institution will have to take the form and apply through JAMB to avoid multiple applications. Now you see that the JAMB themselves, they are not being fair with the way they do their admission. We have seen cases after JAMB result is released, an admission letter is issued and sent to schools. The same student who have already gotten admission letter from JAMB also be having admission problem with the university. I think that was why they have to come with this what they call it?
Post-UTME?
Post-UTME universities. We remember something like last year or thereabout, when the issue of when the Minister of Education came that they have to scrap that program. It was an issue. That program delayed a lot of admission process in this country. So you see, the thing is not until when JAMB have to be sincere with themselves on a way of getting students admitted into university. Because if they claim that most of these admission placement in school are even still because that school have to even refill it by itself, that is not possible. Because every year about 1.5 million Nigerians write JAMB, and we have about 500,000 university placement all over the higher education, both private and public. So can you tell me, out of about 1.5 million, is JAMB saying that out of about 1.5 million that wrote this exam, that they cannot get 500,000 to fill this position? So they have not been system with themselves.
But then don't forget again that it's not just with JAMB you get into the university. You have your WAEC too. And some of these students might make the JAMB, but they will not have the equivalent WAEC results to pursue the admission.
Excuse me, in Nigeria of today, we all know that before you go into university, they have 5 credits including English and math depending on your study area. So for a student who are going to take JAMB, I know we have a lot of them who are also awaiting result.
Exactly.
God damn, some schools will give room for that awaiting result. But these days education, we understand about 2 years ago where they have to even do reduction, they said the number of students they have in class is much. So this even give room to where they have to draw so many admission for schools. So if they are saying that because of that population of that I mentioned, that most of them do not have the entry requirement, that was why something was not possible. I agree with that. You can't tell me that after with this number of applications for this JAMB writing, that at least 75% of them will have a requirement to enter university. Let's say the 25% of them are still maybe awaiting result. So the education system about admission in Nigeria is something that JAMB and university need to harness themselves properly.
I'm sorry, let me tell you where the fraud is in all these things. And let me also tell you why they lower the mark to even increase the fraud.
Okay.
Now, students who have not made their WAEC, like he said, the statistics, let me go with the statistics. 1.5 students are applying for JAMB. And he said 500,000 placement, but I think it's quite lower than that. Now, the thing is, if you are sincere, why not allow only those who have the SSC? You must give people leverage. Okay. You have made your SSC, you should have the right of first refusal.
And you don't think it will be limiting others?
No, go and make your SSC. Why will a 15-year-old write JAMB and SSC at the same time? That's why we're in this mess. You go when you have your SSC, it is called JAMB's admissions. So it is presumed that you are qualified to be admitted before you apply. So if you have a scenario where you go and allow people who may not have even picked their SSC forms to go and apply because you want to pull out, is it 60,000 from each candidate? That is fraud. And we call on the National Assembly to call these people to order. And I want to tell them that we're in a democracy. And Nigerians are just, we just allow anything to be shoved down our throats. There should be litigations going on by now. All over the country, they will know that this is a democracy. You cannot wake up in the morning and you just impose whatever you like. Wake up on this one side of your bed. Well, this is a country, and it is made up of different components. And the National Assembly should wake up to their responsibilities and call these people to order. We shouldn't allow a scenario where persons will just, because they have interest to protect, and because they say they are the regulators, they'll just come together, sit down in one place, and just shove down policies down our throat. We should be able to say, no, we will not allow this to happen. And I want to tell these regulators that whatever they are doing, posterity is watching them. A day will come that Nigerians will play back the time of history and say, you were Minister of Education, you were JAMB registrar, you were NECO registrar, you were national head of WAEC. What did you do? Life is more than the money you make or the position you are in. There are only three things you take this world, you take out of this world: the clothes you wear, the food you eat, and your reputation. That's all. Okay.
Well, we've seen some of them already calling for, already saying no. Just this morning, we saw Obieze Kwesili saying no, no, no. Of course, she was a former.
I'm sure we're going to start bringing back our 200 marks.
And then we had Nansa saying, if you don't revert, we are going to, they are going to abolish or say no to JAMB, no more JAMB. Now, what's your take on the reintroduction of post-UTME? I mean, just last year they said no more post-UTME, and now it's back again.
And that's the point. Policy flip-flops. I think for now the president should sack the Minister of Education. He should be sacked. The man does not know what he's doing. Education is vital in every society. It's the fulcrum of every society. An educated generation is a disaster waiting to happen. I'm telling you this. It's a disaster waiting to happen. I have been part of admission panel, what's it called? Interview panels, and I'm amazed at what people say with their mouth. They don't just have it, they don't know it. They are very brilliant young Nigerian youths who are out there. But they may not even be given the opportunity. Because before you make it to the interview panel, you must know either the managing director or the director general. So the people who really don't know, they are just there. So how can you scrap post-UTME last year? You're bringing it back this year. It's not a table tennis match. What's the meaning of that? It's not a ping pong. You play here, you play there. You are playing with the lives of these children. Let's call it spade a spade. Nigerian leaders don't like the truth. You are playing with the lives of these children. If these children, they themselves can get people to say, we are suing you, Minister of Education. Some of them may not be of age or capacity. They should go to court. Nigerians should learn how to use the legal mechanism to fight injustice. There's a lot to be done. In America or Europe, before you make palm, you're in court. So that is already a regulator on its own. That is unacceptable. You scrapped it, your reason, you gave one reason, now you're bringing it back, you're giving a reason that is contrary to what you gave a year before. So it's unacceptable.
Okay, you know, we're supposed to have Professor Sagede with us this morning on this program, but he happened to be under the weather and just couldn't make it. But, you know, some of the things he said about that is that some of the students that were actually admitted last year without that post-UTME, that most of them will be sent home because they are not just doing well at all. So, Anthony, don't you think that this is also another guide. I mean, from where we are standing right now, yes, they have said, oh, schools, you are also free, because they did also say that you are free to also peg your cutoff mark yourself, like for schools. So would this also not check
let me tell you,
for admission?
Let me tell you something about Nigeria admission system. Admission have been monetized in Nigeria. And the people in authority, both JAMB, both institutions, they do all this for their personal interests. Like I say, as my barrister in this said, that if JAMB want to be fair to themselves, they should make it as a requirement. Before you take JAMB form, there should be a column where you have to input your O-level result so that you already have the result. But because JAMB are interested in short, they are money makers.
JAMB is not the one getting this money for post-UT.
No, JAMB itself. JAMB itself.
Let me say this. What JAMB need to do if they want to be sincere to themselves? Like I say, when I say JAMB is that they are fraud to the nation, apart from even this multiple high number of funds they said, if JAMB want to be fair to Nigerians, they should create a platform where before you can apply or take JAMB, you have already gotten the requirement for you to apply for a particular course you are going for. They know if they do that, the number of forms they are going to sell in a year will drop. Then that will deprive them from that money they are making. So the National Assembly had to see to the educational sector. Like the question you asked about the bringing back the this thing, that thing the man said that the people they admitted last year are not even, most of them may be sent back home. You see, let's be honest with ourselves. Like my brother said, we have brilliant Nigerians. Nigeria is a place that if you don't have people in forefront, you can't get what you want. As soon until we learn the habit of saying things are done by merit, we will remain stagnant where we are. Because if things are done by merit, first of all, even if you look at the Nigerian admission system, they say 45% is by merit, a catchment area, and so on and so forth. Nobody doing that. Even the 45% they said is by merit, you can't even get even 15% of it. So if you get a merit list of 45%, the issue they said because some people came through this thing will not be there. So bringing back the post-UMA, they have not even, because it looks as if people are just playing. You're just playing with the Nigerian educational system, and that's it. Because the moment, if you watch in Nigeria today, a lot of people are not even interested in going to school because they are not even encouraged. There's no good facilities, no good learning environment. You see in Nigeria, as I said during an interview, he has met people that even be surprised the way they made. So see, we should remove sentiment for everything we are doing in Nigeria. Okay,
but you know that one now is not JAMB's fault and
it is.
Fault. I mean,
it is because
failure.
Yes.
Is it just a JAMB thing? It starts from
the people they admitted that end up coming for interviews, isn't it?
The people they admitted, you know, we have a lot of miracle centers and people just get results. So don't you think it's about time we start shifting from results, you know, because a lot of people do a whole lot of things to get results these days. But then some people will also tell you that examination is not a true test of knowledge. So how, let's now look at the way forward now. How do you think we can get it right, seriously?
Okay, very good question. First, sack everybody in charge of regulation and education in Nigeria. They are the problem number one. And for God's sake, bring in professionals. Adamu, it's not an educational profession.
Oh, please.
No. See,
let's not
he's not.
Individuals here.
No. The Minister of if you, with all due respect to you, we are talking about education. The problem we have in this country is that we do not say the truth. And that's where we are.
It's not like it is the truth.
Let's call a spade a spade. The man is not a professional. What is there in saying it? What is there? It's not a professional.
Well, you know, it's not something I just started like 2 years ago or like.
Good. Do we now remember where we are when the world is moving forward? Let us get a professional from anywhere in the country. Any professional. A professor. Rukayatu Rufai, with all due respect to her, did far better than what Adamu is doing. So let us get a core educationist to man the Ministry of Education. That is number one. Because you cannot do something where you don't understand the issues. You're making a lawyer minister of power. That's why we are where we are. He won't understand. He doesn't know the length of wire and all that. Let's call it spade. I'm a lawyer, but let's call it spade a spade. That's why we are where we are today. There is no power anywhere. The problem with this country is that we put square pegs in round holes. Go all over the world. Look at the United States, which is the template. If someone is holding something, he has pedigree. You will see his pedigree right from while he was in the university. So it's not, if we continue to do these things we are doing, and I know you'll be minister, we will be where we are. And it is we, the citizens, that will work for it. Now, to answer your question, change the leadership of education, those in education sector, 1. 2, change the curriculum. Make it a practical curriculum. You are teaching computer, it should be there that each school should have a computer pool. After you finish from the class, you go to pool, you learn the computer and all that. When you are teaching someone diffusion, bring the whatever, take them to the laboratory, let them see the way it goes. Let it also be practical. Do you understand? If you're talking about the making of something, let them make it as a project. Some schools are doing this all over the country, good schools. They'll say you do a project, you make a small car, make this, do that. If you're a writer, write a book. They will teach a class, a student literature from SS1 to SS3. He cannot even write a 4-line poem until he leaves. Then why are you teaching him literature? To go and be telling stories to his grandfather in the village. Do you understand? So let us make our educational system practical. You understand? You are teaching students about the National Assembly, the House of Assembly. You can't even take them to the House of Assembly in Ring Road to stay in the gallery and see how lawmaking is done. Not even once. How would they understand it? They just hear their names, the speaker is this. Let them see the speaker. Shake him and say, ask him questions. They could even be inspired. The Clinton made up his mind to become president of the United States when he had a handshake with JFK. There's a program in place in America where these young people, they see these leaders, they interact with them, they mentor them. But here in this country, it's not like that. Let us have a comprehensive education system that is IT-based, information technology based. If it's for the arts, let us make it practical in such a way that these students will be able to do things so that we can compete with our mates all over the world. I interact with my mates all over the world. You understand? You can compete with them. The way we are now, we're not even in the race.
Okay, Barrister Obankwa. Anthony, what do you think is the way forward?
What the government need to do is to total overhaul of the educational system, right from federal to the state. Government should create more funds. I've been talking about this each time I come here for education. Because if the system is not overhauled, these are our hybrid graduates that we produce. Today, life is, we're on transit in life. We live and go, and people will take over from where we come from, where we stop. So if the standard of education in Nigeria is falling, it's degrading every day, in the nearest future, it's going to be too bad for the nation. So there should be a total overhaul. The educational sector is not a sector you feel you want to do by politics. It is not. Just like my brother rightly said, people who we get in that area are people who are not supposed to be there. Because you can't give what you don't have. If you are ahead, and you don't know what you are heading, people, even when people that are under you are telling you something that will not go, you will know. But if you are a genius, if you are a superb, if you are a master of that particular area, so there's not necessarily difference. So the system needs to be totally overhauled, and government have to do proper funding in the education system, make learning more interesting.
Pleasurable.
I will tell you, see, these children are, you see, because right from our kindergarten, primary school, and so on and so forth. See, if you don't encourage people, they won't learn. First of all, if you don't have interest in anything, you can't do it well. So, but if you are home, and you know, oh, by the time I get to school tomorrow, I'm going to say this, I'm going to say that, you will be gingered to attend class. So, government have a lot of role to play. They need to, in short, vote more money into the educational sector. That's one of the way forward we can carry this nation. There's the other hand is also on the university. The university too, they should also help us. Like I did say, I said that admission have been monetized in Nigeria. All of us know this. Monetization, Godfather, Manuma, and so on. Those are the things that cannot see. When you admit a student, because I'm a friend to barrister, and barrister have influence over the school authority. Oh, barrister, I have my brother, my sister, please help me. And they will do it without considering if this child can even make it. Even the so-called posterior, they said, It's not everything somebody can be talking on air. We know a lot of things that is going on in the post. So, I mean, let's be short. I won't, because it's not good at saying it here. So, education sector, they should put people that have conscience, because that is only a channel of nation building.
Okay, thank you so much, Anthony Ikogwe, public affairs analyst. Thank you for coming on this program this morning. Barrister Douglas Obankwa, thank you also for your analysis this morning.
That is absolutely mine. Thank you so much.
And let's not also forget that parents also have a lot of role to play in the whole of all this. If you stop encouraging your children to write exams in special centers, if you don't encourage your children to buy results, malpractice and all that, I mean, we won't be where we are today. But however, we're looking up to our governments, and of course, we'll see what will happen at the end of this, because a lot of agitations from NANS, from former ministers of education, commissioners of education, saying, if this was a stakeholders meeting, how come we were not part of this meeting? I mean, we are supposed to be part of this meeting to make this decision. But at the end of the day, we hope that they come up with something tangible. I mean, you're not supposed to go down to meet someone. That person is expected to at least come to a certain point to meet up with you. But whatever their reason was, we expect that JAMB still comes out to clear the air the more, aside from trying to prevent our students to go outside the country to gain admissions. We can make our schools here very attractive, you know. I mean, with all the ASU strikes and all that, if we're able to settle all that and vote more money into our education sector, of course, our country will be better for it. TMI continues with Wilson. Good morning.